So I would like to ask you about for abortions, right? How do we explain to those who are for it? How do we explain that even I don't know if you believe this or not, but in terms of like a or unintentional or really unconsented pregnancies, can we say that we should still be anti-abortion in that scenario?
Yes.
What's your grounds for that, and how would I explain it to someone else?
Sure, it's a good question. Let's say I have two ultrasounds here. One is an ultrasound of a baby from a loving marriage. The other one is a baby conceived in. Which one is which?
We can't exactly tell.
So they're both human beings.
Right.
They both deserve human rights.
Okay. But then what is if someone pushes back against with the idea? Do I?
Closer, yeah.
What is if someone pushes back with the idea that now, in terms of the mother, right, one of them was willingly conceived while the other one was a forced conceived?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair argument. The question then should be, when, if ever, in your moral universe, is it okay to do something evil after an evil act to try to make that evil act correct?
But how about in terms of, what if we're in the position of the mother, and I don't want to take the risk of illness, death, or whatever to have this child.
Sure, so it's a little bit of a false choice because they're acting as if the termination of the pregnancy will have no consequences or costs. A lot of women that get abortions have regret. Women die when they get abortions. They have a lot of their health issues. It's not just like getting a haircut. So it's a little bit of a false choice. But we come after it from a very basic moral argument. There are two lives involved. There's a little life and a grown life. And no one has the right to eliminate a human life in utero, period.
So then, at that point, now we're forcing someone to do something that they never consented to, never wanted to do. How isn't this violating their human autonomy?
Well, again, but eliminating the human being would also violate the baby's autonomy too, wouldn't it?
Well, then we would have to ask, right? Maybe in future years we will have the technology to be able to extract a fetus and grow a fetus outside of the uterus, but given our state of medicine right now, we do not have that.
Sure. I mean, but again, no one is delighting or rejoicing in these circumstances. I mean, it's a terrible situation. I want to reiterate that. But you have a unspeakably difficult choice that is very morally, clear though, which is that you don't eliminate a human being because an awful action happened.
Are you saying that as someone who can get... Well, I guess my pushback against that would be then if we say that it's entirely wrong, right? We're sacrificing someone's choice for someone's life, which is admirable, but...
It's also morally correct. You don't get to murder someone smaller than you if it makes your life difficult.
But then we can't exactly... See, the fetus does not have autonomy. It cannot exist outside of the uterus quite yet.
Human dignity does not correlate with dependency. So dignity and dependency are not two things corrected. You have human dignity because you're a human being, not because how dependent you are.
So would you say that viability happens when...
Viability is irrelevant.
So then at what point does human life begin then?
Conception.
Conception, not even sperm or
That's conception.
eggs? Okay.
That's conception. That's
I just wanted to get
when an egg is fertilized. When an egg is fertilized, human life begins.
Okay, so then when it's still a single cell with both chromosomes pairings, right?
Well, it creates new DNA, right? So once the sperm and egg meet, literally something magical and inexplicable happens where new DNA is formed.
Okay, and then what happens? So then
it attaches to the uterine wall, and I can go through the whole gestational process.
All right, so then we have the basis of human life. Now, what is if within the uterus, now that life is still alive, but is unable to proceed to, like, let's say, actual birth due to some medical situation that has happened?
Well, has the baby died without outside intervention or with outside intervention?
Let's say that
is it an ectopic pregnancy, or what? You got to be very clear about the type of...
the amniotic sac has ruptured.
Yeah, that's an ectopic pregnancy, right. So right. Yeah, you can remove the baby from that situation without aborting it. The baby will die outside of the womb, but you do not have to abort it. So those are two different things. The removal of a baby is what's called the cesarean section. You can do that very early on. Now, ectopic pregnancy is very real. It's very terrible. But you can solve an ectopic pregnancy outside of having an abortion. Everyone who's pro-choice, in my opinion, has a moral obligation to watch a video of an abortion just to know kind of what you're supporting. It's so beyond inexplicable. But yeah, look, really quick, what's the final question on this? Because I want to keep moving.
Oh, sure. So you didn't really finish the question of when can we do that procedure, right? If there's still a heartbeat.
I don't think we should ever do that procedure.
What happens if like now the mother's life is going to die in like the next 15 minutes, but the baby is still having a heartbeat? What do we do at that point?
It depends on, again, I don't want to speak to every specific. Some OBGYNs say abortion is never medically necessary. I'm not a professional enough to say that. But it depends how far advanced the woman is. If she's past 22 weeks, have a cesarean section. Try to have the baby live in NICU.
So there are situations where abortions are okay, right?
Well, no, I'm not even saying okay. Again, I don't know enough about some OBGYNs that they can defend their statement here. They will say abortion is never medically necessary. I'll allow them to defend that. I don't know enough about the details there to be able to say that.
So you're saying that you do not have a statement of whether abortions can never be true or always?
It is murder. Whether or not an OBGYN can prove to me, of which there's a lot of debate, it is ever medically necessary. So take, for example, if a baby is 26 weeks and the baby's the mom's life is in danger, deliver the baby by C-section. Don't terminate the baby. Does that make sense?
Yes, I see.
The baby can survive outside of the womb.
Okay, at that point, yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, how you doing, Charlie? Big fan.
Thank you.
I was going to say, in terms of the right to abortion, I understand. I'm not going to argue against, you're a clump of cells, baby's a clump of cells. I wanted to say how I spent all day, these people are sitting outside the hospital, inside the hospital, arguing that these babies should be born. And then we have the technology today to determine if a baby's going to be born with a terrible condition, with Down syndrome or something else bad. And yet these people will spend so much time arguing for the baby not to be born. When it is born and these families are subject to these conditions, these people do nothing to help the baby postnatal at all. And it's like, what do they get out of making sure that these babies are born with such a terrible condition?
So I want to make sure I'm understanding the question.
Yeah.
Are you criticizing pro-lifers for making sure that the babies are born, or just be more specific?
Like more anti-abortion more than pro-life, to make a mom have a baby that is going to be born in such a terrible state, and then no one, these people the pro-lifers that want the baby to be born do nothing postnatal to help the babies.
Okay, so there's a couple things wrong with your statement.
Okay.
The first of which, let's talk about the moral issue, which is why should a baby with Down syndrome have less human rights than you and I?
I think Down syndrome is a bad example. I'm talking more.
But you did use.
I did.
Down
I know. I did say that. Was
okay.
bad.
So that's fine. So let's back up. Let me say then. Let's say a blood test says that a kid has a congenital heart failure.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Better. Yeah.
Now, according to the New York Times and many other studies, that's only about half true. Meaning, like, many people in this audience, I'm sure there's somebody here, probably had a mom that got a test that said you were going to have a congenital heart failure. It turned out not to be true. So those tests are not nearly as accurate as you might think. Okay. But let's even pretend that they are accurate. Okay, let me grant you that premise.
Okay.
Why should then that human not be given equal human rights, even if they get a terminal diagnosis?
No, they should. I'm not arguing they shouldn't have human rights. I'm saying that if they...
What is the first human right?
Right to live, right to freedom. I understand that. I'm saying when the tests are more conclusive, then these families are, they suffer. They suffer with these children that they have that only get to live, to 15, and they're in pain their entire life. And
so that's an interesting moral argument that I want to try to flush out. By what standard it is okay to do something wrong that involves another suffering of another to alleviate suffering for yourself, to basically outsource your suffering to somebody else, saying, I'm going to eliminate you because I might have a tough time. Why is that morally okay?
I'm not saying it's morally okay. It's, it's your life too. It's your child. And
No, it is a moral question, so I just want you to help me understand that.
Okay. So what do you want me to answer?
I want you to help me understand why it would be morally defensible and okay to eliminate a life if that life might make my life harder.
Well, it'd be hard on the life itself. Like, obviously, it's their decision, but, they might not be in a state to make that decision. And, everyone deserves to live. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but,
I agree. Every human life deserves the right to be born.
No, I agree with you.
Let me get to the second part of your argument, which is a criticism of the pro-life movement. I would encourage you to immerse yourself more into the comprehensive work that pro-lifers do beyond just birth canal. It is a common talking point of a lot of people, not you, but on the left, that will say, oh, you're just pro-birth, not pro-life. If you just go to a local church and you'll ask, hey, it's not just the pro-life ministry, there's family adoption ministries, they will give diaper care, daycare, the whole nuts and bolts of actually helping a baby develop into a full human being.
Oh, okay.
And so I would just kind of challenge that premise a little bit, because it sounds cruel. Oh, you just want the baby born, you're not going to assist it for the rest of the life. But I think we agree. I think we both agree in human dignity, right?
Yeah, yes. All right. Well, thank you. I didn't know about that. Thank you so much.
Okay, have a great day.
I think when we talk about abortion, I think we really get into this idea of like when we should assign personhood, right? So you clearly believe that life begins at conception, and I think it would be better if we shift that metric to a more based on sentience. And I believe that and the question I have for you is that since you believe that life begins at birth, let's say we have a person that's grown to old age and they have died and they have absolutely showing no brain activity at all. Would you believe that shooting that person, that dead person, is the equivalent of a human life?
Yeah, I mean, it is a human life, but those are two totally separate things. One is no more, and the other one's not yet.
Right.
So not yet is different than no more. If someone's at the end of their life and there's nothing more we can do to continue their life, that is a different moral conversation than someone that has not yet been completely grown as a human as you and I. Two totally different moral circumstances, so you can't conflate the two.
Right. But I think they both have the same problem where it's about the presence of consciousness, right?
No, it's not a problem. One, the consciousness will come. One will not. So they're two separate things. One has potentiality.
Yeah.
One does not. So you can't conflate the two
right,
together.
But let's say let me use a different analogy then. Let's say I have a blueprint to a building, right? And I have the materials for the building, and you destroy those materials. The materials of the building isn't the building in itself. Can we both agree that there's a difference between those two?
Is the building building itself in real time, and it's currently being constructed, and it's going up?
No, but
up?
it still doesn't really matter because they're
blueprint,
still adding value to the fact that we're creating the
bad
building.
analogy.
Right?
A blueprint.
How's that
the blueprint not itself is not the building.
Right, exactly.
No,
so
I'm
if
saying,
you were
a human being's DNA is not
we
just
agree
the,
on that though.
No,
the blueprint is not the building, so there's probably different moral qualifications.
No,
right?
they're not. I'm saying though that the baby is the building. So you're incorrect.
Okay, so
the building is following the blueprint.
So when you're looking at I don't know, like a fertilized egg, you're telling me a picture of this fertilized egg is the equivalent of a human life right now. No, the exact
What's
same
the
thing.
difference?
The different stage of development.
No. So why should stage of development give you more rights?
Well, I mean, okay, you're acting like this is not something this is done in society. Like, for example, we do judge based on different stages of development, like in cognitive capabilities, right? I'm not letting a fetus drive a car. A fetus can't drive.
The right to life.
Alcohol and whatnot.
Apply the right to life to your stage of development.
This is a little bit different. So I guess a different question I would have to ask you is why I'm assuming your two qualifications here are the fact that it's a unique cellular organism, right, that has the potential to life,
and it's
right?
human, which
and
is inherently has dignity.
So I guess then this brings on a question, because I know there's another scenario where this occurs, right, where fertilization of an egg occurs, and they're on track to development, correct? And this other example that I'll think of is animals, right? I think why do we not give the same moral consideration to animals as we are to zygotes in this situation?
Because animals aren't human beings.
Okay, but why is human beings?
Human beings have a soul, and animals do not
have a soul. So this is my point, guys.
Soul is not just consciousness.
Is a conscious experience.
No, it's
you are
Let me prove it to you. Wrong.
This is dishonest, though.
Let me prove it to you. When someone is quote unquote brain dead, do you know that they still respond if someone stabs them? Their norepinephrine goes up. Do you know that a woman still menstruates if she's brain dead? So consciousness is not human worth. There's something else going on beyond consciousness that exists in a being that is the soul.
Okay, so now we're getting into a conversation of what the difference between the soul and a consciousness is. And
they're totally different. The soul is something beyond. Consciousness is your narration to yourself, the ability to reason. There's something above reason. All of us know what that is when it kicks in. You ever hear the expression, words can't describe, I am speechless? You know why? Speech is reason. When you see a sunset that takes your breath away, when you see a newborn life that is born, you don't even have the words to express express it
right.
because it transcends your
I
reason.
agree with that.
That is your soul.
So I mean that's a good point. Like when we give, what you just labeled there is like when a child is given born, when they're born, we give such moral significance to that, not the fact that like they got infertilized by an egg. I don't want to celebrate. I want to sort of I'd rather celebrate my birthday rather than like the day my parents had sex. That's kind of a little weird situation. You know what I mean? Like if life begins at conception.
Well, it's called your birthday for a reason.
Right,
But
'cause I'm born,
you were a living
You know,
being, not.
It seems that like society
You
kind
were
of
9 months prior.
gravitates to this idea of like an actual human being existing that gives moral value, right?
One is your entrance to the world. The other one
Right.
is the actual creation of your being. Two different
Right.
things. Your birthday is when you entered the world.
Right,
For example, your birthday could be at 28 weeks, not 36
Okay.
weeks. So everybody has a different day when you exit the womb, but it's
Okay.
not when your worth begins. That's not when your value begins. That's simply when you exit the womb.
Right. So I have a good question. I really want to get back to this idea of like you give more moral value to the level of the fact that like that humans that are developed have a soul in comparison to like a zygote that, or actually no, animals
or a
animals, is
coyote.
that- okay. So is that not the same comparison to like a zygote to a developed human being in the sense that we are a higher functioning conscious being in comparison to like this other thing that we can just actively kill whenever
Doesn't
we want.
matter. I
Why
mean,
does
can
it
you
not matter,
actively
though?
kill a 1-year-old? Doesn't have as much acuity as you do or consciousness.
Right, yeah, but like I mean,
Can
that's
you?
not the,
Can
that's
you
not-
kill
that's
a
not the-
1-year-old?
That's the same thing because like this is
Of
like
course
going
it's the
back to
same
my
thing.
like
What's the
idea of
difference in a
sentience,
1-year-old
right?
and a 1-day-old zygote? What's the moral difference?
The level of consciousness.
Oh,
right?
so one's bigger. One's more developed. One's older.
lots more
the
developed. No,
consciousness
no.
is completely
Sure,
irrelevant.
sure.
Because
How is it
just you know that
irrelevant?
a 1-day-old out of the womb doesn't have a lot of consciousness at all.
Okay, sure,
It
that's
can't
fine.
speak. It can't really. It's kind of
Right.
like disembobulated.
But that's-
you don't get less rights for that.
I agree. I mean, like, well, to a certain degree, I agree with that. But like, there is a meaningful difference between a fertilized egg and a
What
conscious
is
human
it?
being. One is less conscious than the other.
Oh no, one is more skills. But like, what's the innate moral difference? And prove it to me.
Because it seems like we do restrict rights, and we do actually change rights based on development and consciousness.
No,
and
about
cognitive
life.
experience,
So
right?
like a 4-year-old.
Right.
What is the innate moral difference of a 4-year-old and a zygote?
One is more conscious.
Okay, got it. So I think that's irrelevant. I think they're both human beings deserving of protection. Consciousness alone is not a marker of dignity.
Okay, but so then what is your marker of dignity? Is
Being
that
a
because-
human being.
Being a human being. So is your argument a little bit circular though? There, it's just like it's
No,
just
it's not.
because we deserve rights because we're a human being.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's self-evident. We are human beings with a soul, therefore we have rights.
We deserve rights because we're human beings because we're human beings. So like, how am I supposed to win against this argument here?
You can't.
See, okay, yeah, exactly. So it's
Because
inherently
it's called a
okay.
self-evident truth.
So like,
It's
yeah.
called self-evident. So that's why the pro-life position is irrefutable.
But so
is that
then-
because you have to posit human
right,
beings have
and,
rights.
and that's that. And is not a kind of a concern that like we base all our entire ideology on this one illogical circle that.
No,
that
it's not
goes back and
illogical.
forth?
It's incredibly
Yeah, right.
logical.
So like,
we are human beings,
what I'm
and we
interested
believe
in
that
is
they
that,
matter.
like, if you were to remove this circle here, then you would have to actually be pro-life in the sense of be pro-life to all life.
Oh, we are.
Right. So
No,
pro-life to like
but no,
animals,
but no,
and kind of, you know.
but we don't
saying-
believe
I'm-
human
look,
beings
I'm
are-
not like a vegan or anything. I'm not vegetarian.
But human beings
I
are not the
think
moral
this-
same
if you
as
were-
a bird. It's not the same thing. For multiple reasons. Because a human being has characteristics and qualities, and most importantly, we believe as Christians, human beings have a soul that a bird does not have.
Okay, so characteristics and qualities.
And only,
like,
let me interrupt one more.
Sorry,
The West,
no
whether
problem.
you agree or not, sorry to interrupt, we believe the human being is the only thing made in the image of the Creator, Imago Dei.
Okay. So when you say characteristics and qualities, what does that mean to me? What does that mean to me?
Well,
To
first of all,
differentiate?
not just the ability to reason,
Okay.
but also the ability to sympathize, empathize,
Okay.
feel, predict, plan,
Yeah.
conjecture, to have
Right.
mercy, forgiveness,
Okay.
to be able to be
All beautiful things.
introspective.
I love that. I love that about us human beings.
Oh no, I know.
No, I'm not being sarcastic.
No, but
It's a good
we
point.
human beings
Yeah.
are exceptional, actually. I mean,
Right.
versus the beasts of the wild, of which
Right. Mm-hmm.
we should appreciate and adore. But again, more beyond that, we come after this from a soft religious view, because you don't have to be Christian to believe this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That the human being has innate, inherent,
Mm-hmm.
embedded, let's just say, dignity
Okay.
that a fox does not.
Right. Yeah. So what you just did there is kind of like my argument here. You're saying that like because we are human, we are more developed, we have higher cognitive reasoning, we're able to sympathize, emotion, and reason, do all these
And the
great
soul.
things. Right. But the thing is, well, I guess that's a religious belief though.
Well,
And
that's
in
an
my belief
interesting
system,
question.
I think that consciousness is the soul.
And
if
that's
makes
what,
sense.
that's where why if you don't believe in God, it's easy to go want to murder a bunch of people. And I'm not criticizing you.
Right,
it goes
right,
back to
right.
just a common theme here. If you believe in God, every human being has dignity.
Well, you're kind of intuition pumping there about saying if it's murder because we haven't really discussed. We haven't even agreed on
I mean,
whether
but
the
look,
zygote
it's of course,
if
if
it's
it's a human being
right?
and the elimination of human life is murder, but that's
Right.
fine. We're
Okay.
just. This is why it's very hard to change people
Okay.
that don't believe in God to be pro-life, because you don't necessarily believe that human life is necessarily special.
No, I mean I do.
But you might
believe
think it's
human
like
life is very
unique and it's
special,
like
right?
interesting.
It is
but
unique
you
experience,
don't
right?
believe it's made in the image of a creator.
Okay, yeah,
And
I
that's
mean,
fine. And that's why we tend to be the pro-life champions, and those that don't believe in God don't. And that's okay.
Okay.
It's just that clarity is important for the audience.
Okay, so I guess we can keep going back and forth. I'm sure you got a whole lot. I'm gonna
It's
give it
fine.
to more
No,
people.
you-
But I do.
you've been great.
I do want to have a good question with you. A question about that I want to leave off on is. So it seems like I think you're pretty set in stone in this position, and I would like to ask, what would I have to do or prove to show you in order to convince you that pro-life isn't the answer that society should be seeking for?
I mean, it would be an impossibility. You have to prove to me God doesn't exist.
Okay, so then we can agree that like this is just a moral issue that you're appealing to a book.
Of course. I
and-
mean, all
okay.
moral issues appeal to an authority, obviously.
Okay.
Why is murder wrong?
I mean, because the reason if you want to talk about morality, we can talk about morality too.
Abortion is a moral issue. Of course it is.
Yeah.
But
the reason why
our
I
whole
think-
conversation
I
is laced
think-
with morality.
But in order to kind of like reduct it to like a textbook or a book or a specific like
Well,
thing, ascribe
why?
of
Where do you
truth,
get your
but-
morality from?
Well, I think morality should be based on like what is the best choice of action to help society progress.
Okay,
if that makes any sense.
okay, got it. What
Right.
if society agrees we should kill the dumb people?
Well, probably not the best.
Well, but why?
Well, the thing is, it's
Or
just
how
not-
about
well, the
this?
thing is,
We should abort-
pragmatically that doesn't work out. Because
Yes,
if
it
you kill
does.
the dog,
In Iceland, it's mandatory to abort Down syndrome babies.
Okay.
It's it's best, right? Down syndrome people are a strain on society. Why do you say it's wrong?
I mean, because there's some degree of like we should protect some people.
Why? By what standard? Why are you appealing to? I appeal to a book. What do you appeal
The thing
to?
is, I think like there's still some value to
Why?
people
What
to
standard?
that
Is
have,
that your
like-
opinion, or is there something transcendent telling you that?
No, there's something transcendent because like there is some sacredity to life, and that's what I agree with. I agree that life
Why?
is sacred. That's why I would agree that if you adopted a more broader pro-life stance, I think I would be more on side of that. Like if you want to have a society where we're forcing women to breed and pump out children, then I would say you would have to create that society where like it is more able for them to do that, and in addition to not be indiscriminate between life. So I think
Okay.
I would
Got
agree
it.
with that sentiment, right?
Thank you for your time.